Yo, I'm Vanilla, baby. Let me bring myself back. Oh, my bad. I'm sorry. Hey, how y'all doing? It's me again. It's Coach T Strong from the best seat on the bench. Listen, today once again we're coming live for you with my co-host. He decided to grace us with his presence once again. I think we got him for one or two more shows, and then we're gonna keep rocking from there and see if we can get some more guests to come and join us and see if he wants to stay in as a third primary guest. But once again, OC Strong, come on in and join the people.
I love being a guest. Best seat on the bench, baby.
Yes,
I've
yes,
been,
yes.
I've been there, done that.
All right, all right. Well, hey, listen.
Thanks for having me.
Anytime, definitely. Well, let's go. Okay. I mean, you and I talk about this stuff anyway off camera, so we might as well put it on camera, right?
Might as well.
All right, we 305 boys. For those that do not know, we straight from Miami-Dade County's finest, But I live in Jacksonville. He lives in Georgia. So he is kind of out of touch from the state series that they do for high school basketball now. Well, back when we were in high school and for a long, long, long time, the way it worked was 1 week was all the girl championship games. And then the following week was all the boys championship games and the different classifications. Class 1A all the way to Class 7A. At one point in time, there were 8As in different classifications, whatever. But Florida High School Association, in conjunction with Max Preps, decided they're going to go to the co-ed category again. Well, they tried this about 4 or 5 years ago, I would say pre-COVID or whatever, and they had the co-ed championships, which did not work then. So I'm trying to figure out what is making them go back to it outside of trying to make money. And the way this thing works is we have the Class 1A to 7A, and normally it would be 1A to 7A from Wednesday to Saturday for the girls, and then 1A to 7A for the boys the following week. So now what they're doing is Wednesday to Saturday, which just happened this week, they had 1A through 4A. And then next week, they're having 5A through 7A. And girls and boys playing. And here's my problem with it. And I'll say from a situation where a traditional situation, tradition being that personal, me and my dad would do the state tournament every year for the boys side. And that was a situation where it was something that he and I look forward to doing every year. It became, like I said, a tradition for us, but with the girls and boys situation, and me being a dean at my high school, that particular week, right after the playoffs and everything, districts and regions and all that, I have to then get back to my school, get myself and my dean's office back in order. And then I would always have that following week to do the state tournament. So that worked out for me for a timing standpoint. But them going right in and doing the boys the following week and then boys also the other week, I'm not doing it. I can't go. Why? Because I just don't have the time. And plus, I'm trying to get my dean's office in order personally. But me looking at it from a holistic standpoint, I think it's a little frustrating to have to go and watch a girls game and then watch a boys game right behind that. So the way the schedule work is you would go in and there would be a girls 1A game, boys 1A game semi, then a girls 1A game, boys 1A game semi. You know what I mean? And then they would do that all the way for Wednesday and Thursday. And then on Friday and Saturday, you'll have the championships for 1A girls and then 1A boys, then and 2A girls, 2A boys, and then the next segment be 3A boys, 3A girls, and then 3A boys. So what happens is, as a spectator, you're subjected to having to watch the girls' games and or the boys' games right behind that. So I'll give an example of where it doesn't work for me. Say, for instance, my boys' team from my particular high school in my city, or my child is playing that team, or a family member, or anything like that is going on. In the past, you used to could go in and watch a boys' game before that game, and then watch my particular school play right after that. So you have a situation where you got probably two pretty good games back to back. And that to me is so much better than going in and possibly seeing a subpar girls game to stay there, then have to watch my particular team play. And the reason why I say subpar, because in some of our classifications, there's some so basketball being played on the girls' side. And I'll be perfectly honest with you, and that's the dilemma. not taking anything from girls or women's basketball, because I cut my teeth. I did 8 years on the women's level at the junior college here in Jacksonville, Florida. So believe me, I totally understand, and I see the direction and the growth that women's college basketball has made, which is interesting because women's college basketball is actually more important and more exciting to watch than even the WNBA. So I think that they're trying to press and force women's sports onto an atmosphere that I don't think is ready for it to a certain extent. And then the second part of it is money. The girls' week was not making a lot of money, only selling out probably about 45 to 50% of the arena for those girls' games, where when you go to the boys' games, each game is just about sold out. And don't let it be some local teams to Lakeland, Florida. So that Orlando, Gainesville, those particular areas, Miami, Tampa, St. Pete, or if you get a team from those areas, guess what? That arena, not gym, that arena was full-blown packed. So I think it's more of a money issue. So
it's absolute bullshit. I'm sorry. It's absolute BS in the sense where what they're doing, they changed the schedule to make it more marketable or whatever for, let's just say, co-ed, but they're forcing you with your week-long ticket, because you and dad used to be a week, right? Or you paying for a week,
right? Long
ticket. Now I have to pretty much deal with not a week of boys basketball, which you were used to, but now I've got to put it all in pairs, and that changes your whole personal schedule and everything else. I shouldn't have to be forced to watch something that I don't want to watch. You know what I mean? And at the end of the day, it's, if nothing was wrong with the previous
format
or planning of what they were doing, why change it? They're changing it because they're trying to force you to do something that you literally don't want to do.
Right.
There was no reason for it, for the simple fact which you harped on was that it's about money. The girls wasn't getting enough revenue or crowd appearance, and that's what we're going to do.
Correct. And money is definitely the root of it, because you don't pay for a single game. You don't pay for an individual game. You pay for a session. So you have session 1, session 2, session 3, session 4, all those sessions, and those sessions would include 2 games. So now what they're doing is they're making you pay for that session, which includes a girls game and then a boys game. And that's kind of where my frustration comes in. And I really think that it's also frustrating for the high schools who have to play next week, because there are colleges that could probably send recruiters out this week to see some players because they haven't got into their conference tournaments yet. Well, conference tournaments start next week at the end of the week. So you don't get the recruiters able to come in because they're still out there doing their conference stuff, which normally most coaches bring their recruiters back in during the conference tournament time. So that's the frustration that I'm seeing. And
I'm not taking anything away from girls basketball.
Correct.
I'm not in no way, shape, or form taking anything away from girls basketball, but I shouldn't be forced to pay for those sessions when I'm just here to see the state championship.
Right.
The boys basketball state championship. So what they did was, you still have to pay for the session, but you didn't say, I'm going to pay for the boys basketball state championship session.
Right.
There was no separation.
Right. And which is also crazy is because we're not forced to schedule girls games and boys games on the same day. You know, that's a choice. We can do that if we want to. Now, up in Georgia, they play that way. The girls play first and then the boys play first. So to me, that would make more sense, because guess what? You kind of have a following, because a lot of the boys spectators are there for the girls, and the girls spectators stay to watch the boys in Georgia, though. But that's not being done in the state of Florida. So why would you subject people at the state tournament to do something that you don't do all year long? Now, if we were playing like that all year long, that would be something different. Also, the only benefit I see is if the same high school has a girls state participator and a girls state participation. That way, they're there on the same time, and all the spectators don't have to spend that kind of money or whatever. But you don't see that much. That's an anomaly. You're not seeing where the girls and the boys are going to state the same year so many times that it's really worth what's going on. So, outside of money and I think it's more of a headache in the fact that they've already done it before and they're trying again with no changes in it. I mean, you're trying to do the same exact thing, and I just don't think it's going to work again. And I guess their excuse is COVID. That's the only thing that I can think of.
They're going to lose more ticket value by continuously doing it this way when they can just say, okay, I want to pay for what I want to see. Correct. Not taking anything away from girls basketball. If the ticket sales for girls basketball, then hoorah. But I don't want to be forced to have to pay for that.
So let me ask you a question and put your coach's hat on for me, right? You just won the region, okay? And in the past, you would have a full week to rest. You got your number one player got hurt in the region tournament. So it wasn't a championship game, but maybe a few games before the regional championship, and he was out for a week and a half, right? You win the regional championship. Now, because you're a 1A through 4A, you now have to go right into the state championship, when in the past, you got a full week rest before you had to set up that stuff. How does that make you feel, Coach?
That's rough in a sense where me being an athlete, I've always had to deal with rule changes. I mean, with the travel portal, with college, so forth and so on. If he doesn't get that week to rest, then you as a coach or me as a coach or anybody, it's a team sport. The next man step up. You know what I mean? And I feel as though most coaches, and including you, have trained their team enough that the next man step up should be indoctrinated as like what they're supposed to do. When one man go down, the next man step up. So,
but I can see that. But at the same time, guess what? If I'm a 6A school, right, I get that rest time, so my best player can get rested and be able to be ready to play that following week. But guess what? The same teams that I've played all year long, 3A and 2A schools, they don't get that same luxury. So those are the downfalls. I think is the tough situations.
It's rough. It's
so now, you done thrown in the loop where before the girls were a week ahead of us. So what happens was when the girls finished their season, they also had a week rest. Then the boys would go into the regional stuff. Then their regional championship. Then we had a whole week to rest. So that has taken away. Put it this way before I close. It has taken more away from the high school programs, both girls and boys, than what it's giving back, except for Florida High School Association making more money on a weekly basis. So
everybody should deserve that week.
Talk to me. So, all right, man, we're going to close out on that, man. And because we can talk all day about that, but
all day.
That's it. But when it's all said and done, listen, I wish all the best to all those teams that are participating. Good luck to you all, man, and go out there and get that chip, as they call it. But coming from the best seat on the bench, make sure you follow us on Instagram, Facebook, as well as TikTok. Brought to you by the recruits. Once again, we out.
It is.